Brother Donnell, what do you think with regards to like the whole aspect of what we're talking about is like, these, we use toxic masculinity or cool poles or whatever as protective factors. We're also told, some of us, not to cry, not to show vulnerability. So take us where you want us to go with regards to that.
Thank you. Sitting here listening, and the brothers touched on so many parts, and it had my mind turning. One of the first things I like to say, whenever we have conversations, especially with our youth, our community, we need to be mindful of buzzwords and languages that affect us. As Black men, there's certain things that you can't say to us because it just ruffle our feathers. It's certain dialogues that aren't ours, so we can't own it. So how do we pass it on to our children if we didn't own it in the first place? We know how it feels to us. And that don't cry, it's pervasive in our neighborhood. And I'll share a personal story. My mother, her strong belief in her understanding of how to raise 3 boys to men, she said, my goal is to teach y'all to survive. If y'all survive long enough, y'all can figure out how to succeed. Her premise was, I'm going to teach y'all how to survive. And part of surviving to her was not allow this jungle of a world to perceive weaknesses and that'll eat you up. And in turn, she built this armor on us. And this armor was so strong and it started to rust. And I was internally captured in this armor. And the only thing that got that armor off of me was tears. Wow. When I started to cry and understand it was okay to cry, guess what? The rust of that armor started breaking away from me. And I start be able to be receptive to the love that was around me, community-wise, brotherhood, family. So when we have these conversations, we got to be mindful not to continue to pass them off with buzzwords. The brother spoke about having a strong Black male in the community and how his father was that and how his father and so many people looked up to him. And I know that's not no lie, and I know it's not no secret because I know too, I identified men in my community that I idolized from afar, but was afraid to have conversations with them for fear that I was not on their level because I carried my own personal insecurities. So one of the things we have to do when we talk to our young men is to let them understand. First of all, we got to identify the language that's ours. Yeah. I don't want to go into a cultural situation where we lost our language and we lost everything. But whatever conversation that we need to have with them, we need to talk to them, not at them. We need to show them and be consistent with what we're saying. We got to understand that crying, and we got to take that narrative away that crying is weakness. It's strength. It's natural. It's human. Why is the only person on earth, the Black man, is the only one that can't be human? Yeah. If I get hurt, I'm going to bleed. If I hurt, why shouldn't I cry? If I'm happy, why shouldn't I laugh and cry? Whatever emotions come, I should not be stifled because I'm a Black man in America. But unfortunately, we got buzzwords, narratives, and subcultures that tell us this is what we have to do. So when we're raising our boys, that's why they're so emotionally stunted to the women that are the same age. A little girl fall, cry, baby, it's okay, we cover them. And what, unfortunately, some women learn to grow and use that as manipulation. I'm gonna act a little hurt, I'm gonna get a little more attention. Guys the same age, toughen up. So then when they go off to meet and eventually develop relationships, he's so much further ahead, his emotions been stunted by the adults in his life. So when we have these conversations, first, I say we have the language that conveys that it's okay and it's strength in not only crying, but it's strength in being human. It's strength in being connected. That's the first part. And the second part of it is identifying that it's okay to be emotional as a man. It's okay to have emotions as a man, but a man controls his emotions. And that's the difference. We just got to have a conversation where we give context and meaning to phrases that are buzzwords in our community that we run from. The brother mentioned therapy. We run from that because it's a stereotype that goes with that. We don't want that stigma. But anybody that's been in a barbershop, anybody been on a basketball court, anybody that late at night, we had therapy. We had therapy sessions. Anybody that called, hey, listen, man, let me talk to you. We had therapy sessions. That's it. We run from them based on articulated buzzwords that intellectualize things that we run from. Yeah. But we got to get back to the bare essence of communicating with each other. Our brotherhood needs to come back. Our love needs to come back. Our dialogue needs to come back. And that would ill a lot of things in our community because now we're not aliens. Real quick, and I'll end on this note. I talk to so many young brothers in our community that I mentor or I talk to on different levels. And one of the things that is a common thread, they just want to be heard. Now think about that for a minute. They want to be heard. As black men in America who's been silenced for so long, how dare we silence some other brothers?
Yeah.
And sisters.
Yeah.
They just want to be heard. So our job is to be the megaphone, the microphone, the speaker, to let the voices be heard, not only through our actions, but through our dialogue to other people, because we've been there. Yeah. How many of us stood there and say, man, I wish old head come. I ain't trying to hear that old head burnt out. I don't want to hear what he got to say. Yeah. You know, we've been him. So how dare we walk up as that burnt out old head now to have this conversation? Yeah. No, we have to transfer ourselves in that position, juxtapose the two, and say, guess what? What information am I going to give to him so he can give it to the next person when he get older?
Powerful.
Connection.